Hi everybody. Thanks to attending today. I will introduce you to a notion that probably most of you know is how we can basically have a better understanding about what our users are doing in our product or in our customer journey. So to do that, we will speak to you about a single customer view. So a quick. I'm working with Nitro. We are doing cool stuff with documents. And we need for that to understand what our users are doing in the product and what our users are doing with the document to improve the experience of the user and make documents smarter, quicker. So let's start by a typical online acquisition journey. So when you have a customer, I'm taking this example because it's probably the most known. So you have people that start to have an action with a website. After that, they go to download the content. They start to read some emails that we send to them. They sign up for a trial. They use the product. And after that, they become a customer. But all along that, we can capture some signal about what they are doing. And we can interact with this signal. So the first signal will be when they hit the website or hit the demo product the first time. We can have an information here. When they start to give us some information such as email or company, we have ID the customer. We can, at that point, start to engage with them and start to discuss, to tell them how the product is working, what they should do in the product. We can lead them to have a better experience with the product and get them cultivated. So that is, I would say, the top part of the funnel, but obviously, when that is done, you can lead the customers themselves during the journey inside the product and inside the feature of it. So if you take that, you see that to be able to understand what the customer is doing and giving them targeted insight, we need to understand the context. And why the context is key? Because having just a signal saying someone download or someone converted a document, if we don't understand why and how, to understand why, we need to understand in which context they did it, because context is critical for a couple of reasons. Most of the human interaction are linked to a reaction. So we have an action and we get a reaction as a human interaction. So knowing the context helps us to understand why the action came, why it came from, and it also helps us to predict the upcoming events. So if a customer, for instance, converts a document in our world, we can predict, in this case, what will be the next action. So we can help them by showing what is the next most probable action, depending on what they did in the past. Context is also important because it allows us to tailor our communication and lead the user to improve their customer experience. It's all about experience. It's all about being smarter when they use the product and smarter when they use the document. So to achieve that, we need to build a single customer view. So what is a single customer view? Is taking all the signal for all the channels that we can have. So customer can interact with us on mobile, they can interact with us on web, they can interact with us on desktop, they can also interact with us on our website, and that is all the channel. And what we do is we capture all the user activity across all the channel. We try to regroup them in the related activity all together, and because time is flowing, so everything happens one after the other, so we need to understand when an action happens versus another one. After that, we identify the user, so there is different way to identify user. Obviously, if he's signing, it's easy, but we can also identify a user using some tracking technology. And after, where it's become really critical is to deduplicate a user, because the same user can have, I would say, multiple virtual identity, but in fact, it's the same person. So that's the key component of building a single customer view. So high level, how it works. Can go through all the slides, but basically you have some session. It's a suite of related events. We put all these sessions. On every session, we find a critical identifier, and we deduplicate the user, two users. We deduplicate them by making sure that all the sessions related to the same user goes to the same single customer view. When we did that, we merged personal information, we merged all the activities, and we can start to build some predictive analytics on it. We can start to enrich the information with external channels, such as knowing where the customer is, knowing which kind of network infrastructure he has to improve that, knowing basically some information that is not captured, but we can enrich it with other source of information. And that is where it becomes really interesting, is with all this information, is where you can lead the user. And you can lead them real time. So you know what they did in the past. You know what other customer or other users that has the same behavior did. So at that point of time, we can suggest things. So let's say you are on a mobile, you download the document, you open it in your mobile, and most of the time you did that in the past is because you want to do an e-signature. So in this case, we can start to directly suggest you what are the fields that you can select to do the e-signature, and we can basically lead you to that point. You don't need necessarily to do it by yourself. We can suggest that to you. In another case, it could be if you take all the customers that hit our website, marketing website, we can understand exactly what every customer did. It's pretty easy, it's statistics, but if we are able to group that by category of user, we can also lead the experience on the website. So someone that is more interested because they are doing some security research in the past on our website, when they come back, we can discover that. If the customer comes from a big enterprise or SMB, we might give them a different experience. And we can do that because we are able to identify every channel one after the other. So what are the key components of the single customer view? Obviously, the first one is we need data, and we need good data. And for that, we need to have a good data capture. It should be flexible and scalable. Flexible in a way that we cannot predict what we will need in the future, and we cannot restrain the solution at one way. So basically, flexibility is, I would say, no non-structured data, just to simplify. Sessionization, that is the trick, actually. Sessionization is this famous related events. If you take a timeline and you have someone that visits a website, you take all its events. But what is interesting is to detect when that is finished. Because that means during that period of time, he did something which made sense for him. But eventually, if he does that again 3 hours after, it's not the same that if his session stays for 3 hours. The same in a product. If the user doing a group of things, like opening 3 documents in a day, it's not the same that if he opens 3 documents in a day or if he opens 3 documents in the same session, because it will have a different interaction with the product, so a different behavior. Identification and duplication, that is the easy part, actually, is every time we have a session, we have some IDs on the session, and we just try to match all the sessions together using different various algorithms to find them. And after, we basically do predictive analytics on behavior to get value out of that. So, very high-level view of how it works. We do the data capture. We push the data inside a pipeline with the raw event. We don't process anything here. We just capture and store. We store everything just in case we want to reprocess in the future. When we have that, we can start to consume the raw event and build the session. So we basically consume the raw event, build the session, store the session in a big storage, push in another pipe, actually, the session itself. So we can consume the session at that point, directly at that point. But because we can consume the session, we can go to the next stage, which is doing the single customer view itself. And at that point of time, we are able to say, OK, all these sessions go to that single customer view. We pipe that to another pipe, and we can consume the single customer view, and we can enrich it directly using a REST API. So it's actually not one pipe, but 3 pipes in ones. Couple of challenges, obviously. We speak about millions, eventually billion of data points to process. We are roughly something, we are speaking about at least 10 to 20 million of events a day. And if we speak about bigger system, we can go for hundreds of millions of events a day captured by a system. So we need a high scalability. We need a real-time context as well, because we need to understand what the user is currently doing. Doing post-analysis is not enough. So we can do post-analysis to calculate predictive behavior, but we need to understand the context real-time. So we can do near-time matching and we can do near-time predictive analytics just to be sure that the user will go to one path or another. And we need to do integration with third-party, with different various technology, which might need near-time or real-time. So all these challenges are regarding the benefits of it is not that big. Why? Because first of all, we provide a 360 view of our customer or user activities in one place. Whatever the channel, whatever the way the user interacts with us, we know exactly what he's doing and we know why he's doing it, or at least we try to understand why he's doing it, and we can basically get the value in one place. We provide behavior analytics, so that help us to design the next generation of our products. We uncover a network of users. We can discover that actually two users that are not supposed to be on the same team actually work a lot together. We can also discover that someone in a company actually push some of our marketing email to another one, someone else in the company. That is a strong signal of interest. We uncover activity flow, so we discover also how a document flow between different users, how often a document is used, which kind of, thanks to machine learning on documents, that we can also understand to the content of the document why a document interacts with another, drive predictive and user behavior, and drive target user experience. So now we'll ask us why we build one. Because it looks like a marketing automation tool. You are not really far from that, except that marketing automation is for marketing automation. Why we build one is because we want to have everything in one place. Not only marketing, but after our customer become customer, we want to enrich their experience. So we need to have also product information. We need to have all this information in one place. There is also another key component is we want to be sure that the information that we use, customer can trust on the fact that we are taking care of their data. We don't push the data everywhere. We are just owning the data of their activities the same way that we take care of their content. That gives us the freedom to choose which is the best third party to do one thing or another, and it's allow us to leverage multiple solutions to do analytics, to do customer behavior, to do predictive analytics. We are not tied to one. Actually, long story short, we want to own the customer intelligence because that is where we can basically give a better experience to our user. So a bit of technicalities, I will say. How we build it. Data capture, we just use a Play server, highly scalable on AWS. Data flow, we use Kafka to push and store and the retention of the event. Data storage, we have different kind of data storage. We use S3 for raw data. We use DynamoDB for the advanced view. We use analytics. We use Redshift. But it's not limited to that. It's actually, we can go to some help outside also to improve, to use an existing algorithm. Processing, we use Spark, and analytics, as I say, we use third-party and Spark. That's it. Any question? Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yep.
So how do you actually, I'm assuming that probably you'll even stay in S3, but say you want to analyze some customer behavior, how you move the data from S3 to that?
So the single custom, sorry. So the question is how we flow the raw data from S3 to DynamoDB. That's correct. It's actually, it's built real time. So we don't flow the data from S3 to DynamoDB on demand. It's actually when the raw events are captured. If we go back to the slide, we basically do that. All of that is real time. So when the event is captured, we keep the event just in case we need to reprocess them later. But in fact, the single customer view is built dynamically along real time when the events arrive.
So all the data is created on all the events.
So the data are captured here. They are stored in. They are pushing in Kafka, and from Kafka we have two consumers. One that store it in S3 for, I would say, further study if we need it, and one consumer go to a processing component that will calculate the session and the single customer view. So there is no direct flow. The component that we use is Spark to calculate the session, but here in this case, I don't think it's the key point of the question. Any other question? Yeah?
May I ask, do you kind of clean out Kafka after a few weeks?
So for now, we don't. We don't because we are building other analytics on it, so we prefer to keep it. We will probably in the future, but for now we don't.
No, it's just to follow up. It seems like if it's a Kafka, it's really useful. What limits will force you to start deleting data after
I will say cost and maintainability, but for now we didn't reach this point. Any other question?
Thank you.
Cool.